right, I'll get to your phone calls coming up. Let's bring in David Carr, NFL Network analyst, former NFL quarterback. Is he joining us, Fritzy?
David is all set.
David is there. David, thanks for joining us. Let me start with this whole philosophy of rookie quarterbacks. And let's put in somebody who has athleticism if we don't have a good offensive line. I'm looking at the numbers that you suffered through when you first came into the league. You had athleticism, probably didn't have a good offensive line. What does that do for your confidence level?
I'm torn, man, because I see like, for instance, Justin Fields in Chicago, right? We talked about, and I kind of heard your intro with Josh Allen and getting the MVP chance, and Andy Dalton on the other end is getting booed off the field before he even throws his first pass. So it's like you're either the MVP or the worst in the league. And I'm like, do we want to put Justin Fields behind the Chicago Bears offensive line that I've watched for the last 3 weeks? Absolutely not. And just because I've been in that situation before, yeah, Justin, okay, you have to ask yourself a question if you're a Bears fan. Justin Fields, in this day and age, has the opportunity to play quarterback for you guys for the next 15 years, right? So do you want to risk that by throwing him into a situation where, yes, athletically he can survive the situation, but he's already shown the ability, and honestly, to his default is going to be to move. It's always going to be to move and make a play with his legs because he's always been able to do that. So he's going to revert back to that when situations suck. And with the Chicago Bears, the way that they're set up right now, he's not going to develop into the passer that he maybe could be if he's out there developing really bad habits. And I know because I've done it. And I was in that situation where, you know, you're in the quarterback room and the quarterback coach is saying, hey, you just gotta buy some time right here. Just trust the receivers, let their routes develop. I break the meeting. I walk down the hallway. The offensive line coach grabs me, puts his arm around me, says, Dave, we got to find a way to get the ball out of our hand faster. And I'm like, okay, I'm 21 years old. Who do I listen to? You know? So that's the situation Justin's going to be in is the offensive line coach is going to say, hey, let's get the ball out of our hands. Let's find a way to run, get out of there. And Matt Nagy and those guys are going to be trying to get him to develop into the passer that they want him to be. Now, you can kind of do both. Russell Wilson and Justin have very similar traits. When I watched Russell play early on, they couldn't keep him off the field. You remember I think Matt Flynn was there. Russell went in. He made plays dynamically with his legs. And he was able to kind of develop into that passer as he was working through running with the ball and being smart and sliding and taking care of his body. Now, he's a rare breed. That guy's a tremendous talent, you know, and Justin is also, but Russell was able to work through that and become the passer that he is now, still with the threat to run. So it's just, man, the odds aren't in your favor if you just throw a guy out there and try to have him just survive because you're not very good. I'm not for it. I'd love to see Justin play for a long time and have great success, you know, playing quarterback and then using his legs when he has to, not because he's just absolutely in an emergency situation every time.
Yeah, and you're going to revert back to what you do well, and that is that you want to be athletic and make a play, extend a play, whereas Mac Jones is behind an offensive line that's really good and will be protected better. Trey Lance will be behind a better offensive line. He'll be better protected. Yep. I think that's the difference here is Justin Fields, if he was with the Patriots or with the Niners, then you could say, hey, you don't have to try to make a play. We'll pick our spots. We'll have design running plays. But trying to handicap this with it's different quarterbacks, different situations. It's not this blanket. Yeah. You got to throw the rookie out there and let him play. Like Zach Wilson,
oh, for sure.
I don't know what – I mean, I would be nervous if I'm a Jets fan that Zach Wilson is going out there. We don't have a legitimate backup. Our offensive line has not been good, and I'm sending a kid out there into battle.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think every situation is different. And like for Zach Wilson, you know, what I've seen in the preseason has been fantastic. The guy's been great on the money downs. Like, I don't care really what you do on first and second down. That's easy. You know, that's what you should be able to do. And that's a lot of it's on your offensive coordinator. And they've done a good job in New York, just what I've seen so far in the first couple weeks. But what he's been great on is in third down, standing in the pocket, making throws to Corey Davis, utilizing his arm strength to just kind of whip the ball to the sideline just effortlessly off of plays that are kind of broken. So I see all the ability there for Zach Wilson. No question about it. I think to your point, the only thing that I could say is that offensive scheme is going to be such where they're going to utilize, it's just like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. These guys are going to move the pocket a lot. So it's not necessarily a situation that I see in Chicago where Chicago they're not really that good at it. Like Matt Nagy should be, being in the Chiefs system and having that ability, but his offense has always left me like, man, where's this dynamic ability at to create offense for your quarterback? And I haven't seen that. I think I have seen that so far with what they're going to do with the Jets. So I feel a little bit better about that situation. Not great, but I feel a little bit better about it because when they do ask him to take shots down the field or hold the ball, it's going to be where he's on the move and he can kind of protect himself. And to your point, they don't have anybody else. Like they don't. I just don't see bring a veteran in, like have him be able to watch a kid, watch a guy go through it for the first couple of weeks. That would be a lot better situation in my opinion. But schematically, I feel better about the Jets situation than I do about Chicago.
He's David Carr. You can follow NFL Network analyst David Carr on Twitter at DCarr8. What's the meanest thing you've said about your brother's performance?
I'm old school, man. So I try to, he has to be smart. You got to be smart as a quarterback. And for me, I used to lift with the offensive linemen. I used to want to run over everybody. I used to want to play the game physical just for the respect of my teammates. That was it. And for Derek, he is so tapped in. Like he's at another level as far as understanding where to go with football, how to find a completion instantly. And Gruden preaches it nonstop, like completions. This guy just sent me, this is probably doesn't need to be public knowledge, but he completed 95% of his passes in team drills through training camp. 95%. And Peyton Manning, they used to talk about Peyton would complete like 85%. And Gruden challenged him with that. And he sent me a text yesterday that said 95%. So the guy is like, he's going to find a completion, and John's going to preach that. And I wish that they would allow him to push the ball down the field a little bit more. And it's not really Derek. It's just John's scheme. They're going to just find a way to get the ball in their playmakers' hands, and they're top 10. They're going to be top 10 this year. They're wildly efficient, but he's always had the ability to understand coverage, diagnose it, and take advantage and take chunks out of guys, and opponents.
But when are you ripping him? Old. When are you ripping him, David?
I don't really rip him because at this point he plays fantastic football. He's not going to do these crazy dynamic things like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, just, running backwards, throwing these crazy. He's going to be very clean. He thinks Peyton Manning's the greatest quarterback of all time. He tries to emulate that guy. He's going to run when he has to, but he understands that his mental ability to understand and break down coverage and throw the football accurately is more important. So I wish I could see a little bit more like just kind of loose, dynamic play from him because I know he's a great athlete. And that's just me as a brother kind of wanting to be able to do that because he's a better athlete than me, and I wish I could use his ability. But he's going to play the way he plays, and he plays fine for John, and they play great. So it's hard to nitpick, man. He doesn't turn the football over. He doesn't make any negative plays. The only thing that I can say is I wish that we could push the ball down the field a little bit more. But they do. That's just me.
Eli Manning was on a podcast with LeVar Arrington, and he was talking about how, Jordan Love, is he the answer? And Eli said to LeVar Arrington, that's kind of me reading between the lines. If I think he was the answer, or if ownership thought he was the answer, Rodgers would be gone. Rodgers probably knows that he's not the answer also, so he could kind of play that hand a little bit. Quarterbacks know if a quarterback can play, right?
Yeah. And almost instantly.
Yeah. So I have to believe Aaron Rodgers knew the Packers weren't comfortable turning over the keys to this, NFC title team to Jordan Love. They just didn't know. Therefore, Rodgers had the ultimate bargaining power and probably still does, though, David, because he's probably saying Jordan Love's not the answer without coming out and saying it. What do you think of what Eli is alluding to?
Well, you can watch. My boys make fun of me all the time. I got 21, 18, and 16. We watch football games, and I'll watch a guy for 2 plays and say, no, he's not it. A high school kid or college kid. I'm like, that's not it. Right? And they're like, no, come on, give him a chance. He's a 5-star recruit. He's going to go. I'm like, he's not it. Right? Maybe he will be, but not right now. Right? So it's exactly right. That's it. Aaron has Aaron has all the power. Now, Jordan Love has been in my backyard, 100 feet from where I am right now, working out with me. I've known him forever. He's from this area, from Bakersfield, California. Went to Liberty High School. Known him since he was, little kid. And I love Jordan. But Jordan's not Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers knows that he's not Aaron Rodgers. And so I have all the pull, and I can run this thing. And is Jordan going to be a fine player someday? Can he be a starting quarterback? Absolutely. We've watched him play in the preseason. He even looks the part. He's kind of developed some of Aaron's mannerisms. I love quarterbacks that are in the same room, kind of watch each other. They kind of look the same, and they all emulate the starting quarterback. And
but should another team have taken Jordan Love?
Well, I mean, I don't think the Packers should have. And that's just crazy because you're sitting on the cusp of going to a Super Bowl. You're right there on the doorstep, and your decision is another quarterback. I mean, it just makes zero sense to me. Just zero sense. Another team should have taken Jordan. When the Packers took Jordan, everyone here is excited. And I'm sitting there like, why would they do that? This is just going to be a disaster. Like, he's not going to play. Aaron's going to be upset. It's just going to be a bad situation. Go get another guy to help you win a Super Bowl. Try to get over the hump and beat the 49ers and get to the big game, So, yeah, they shouldn't have taken him. They did, and that's where they're at. So it's their mess. They got to clean it up. Aaron's in the driver's seat. He goes out there. He's going to probably be pushing to be MVP again because their offense is great. You got Devontae Adams. They're going to run the ball well. Matt LaFleur is a genius, and they'll be fine. The defense will play a little bit better. But yeah, that's the situation they made. Now you got to live with it.
Which quarterback would you want this year, Justin Herbert or Matthew Stafford?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I get nervous about the Chargers, not just because I don't say this just because they're in the AFC West and I want them to be terrible and let my Raiders win, but I get nervous about them just because of Joe Lombardi. And I'm not saying that he's a bad coordinator, but he had a chance in Detroit and wasn't great. He went back to New Orleans, and Sean Payton's brilliant in New Orleans, but let's not give everybody credit that comes from New Orleans that they're going to be great. So I'm a little hesitant there, but he's a tremendous talent. I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of Matt Stafford. I always have been. I always put him in my top 10 list. Everybody always gives me crap for it. Just because he plays for Detroit. I mean, the guy's tough. He wants to play in big games. He's got all the ability to do it. I love him with the Rams. I mean, they're going to be right there, man. They're going to be in the championship game. You can almost pencil them in for that. Just you look at talent on the defensive side, what they have on offense. I'm not saying that you don't want to take anything away from Jared Goff. That's the other thing that Jared Goff got you to the Super Bowl. He played good football. He's one of the better intermediate passers in the league. The thing that they needed to do internally, they looked at when they got in trouble, when his system runs into trouble, Sean McVay, it's when you get extra pressure and you're not able to beat it with some smoke and mirrors, with these jet sweeps, with just getting the ball out quick to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, with not being able to beat it with play action. When you have to stand in the pocket, make reads and decisions, and you have extra defenders coming at you, and you have to be accurate, quick, throw from different angles, and beat that pressure with great quarterback play from the pocket. That was where Jared struggled, and they solved that big time because Matt Stafford is one of the best I've ever been around at doing that exact thing. And they pinpointed that. They said, we need that. I don't care if we've been to the Super Bowl. We're going to make our team better. And the Rams, to their credit, they've always made those moves. Go get Jalen Ramsey when we're struggling in the secondary. Go, do what you got to do to get a player that's going to take you to the next level. And I think they've done that with Matt. It's just a matter of can they kind of bring it all together, still be that same consistent offense. But when they come down to it and they got to throw the ball and they're in the pocket, he's one of the best in the league now. And so you're not working at a disadvantage in that situation anymore. He's going to excel.
Great to talk to you as always, David. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to catch up with you during the season.
You too, buddy. Good talking to you.
That's David Carr, NFL Network analyst, former NFL quarterback. What'd you say, 78 times he was sacked one season?
Yeah, he has the 2 of the 3 most sacked seasons in NFL history. Can you guess the other guy who's second?
Randall Cunningham.
That is correct. And Randall Cunningham played half as many games to be sacked 70 times as David Carr. David Carr played 16 games and 72 sacks. I think Randall Cunningham played like 9 games to be sacked 70 times.